Well, I'm joined tonight here at the big table by, to my right here, Peter Beyer. He's the German government's advisor on transatlantic relations. He's also a member of parliament with the Chancellor's conservative CDU party. And to my far right, Julius von der Laar, a political campaign consultant who was one of the engineers of U.S. President Barack Obama's winning campaigns back in 2008, 2012. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on the program. I want to talk about German-U.S. relations, but first, I want to ask both of you about what we saw today at that press conference between Trump and those reporters. What do you make of that? I mean, can you imagine that happening between reporters and the German Chancellor?
Not at all, and I wouldn't even go so far to say it's a different culture. It's unprecedented, and I could not, think of Angela Merkel or anybody else in the political scene here in Germany act like this. Mm-hmm. This was really a bad example of how somebody who should be as president, something like a symbol, somebody like an it's like a Vorbild, as we say in Germany.
Yeah, role model.
A role model, exactly. Mm-hmm. This is not what the people want to see.
Yeah, Julius, what did you think?
I mean, I think my reaction was just like yours. I was stunned by that outrage by President Trump. But at the same time, I mean, we're going to talk about the midterms in just a second. Yeah. He was able to mobilize his base. I don't want to just justify it or anything like that, but he had a clear strategy, and we've seen that strategy play out over the last 3 years now. Mm-hmm. I mean, extreme polarization. We've seen the last 2 weeks where he hammered the Mexican border and the migrant train that is on the program as well. And I think he has a very clear understanding of the anger that he is stoking within the Republican Party and within the fringes. Mm-hmm. And I think his calculation is clear. Mobilize the fringes and make sure that his turnout is guaranteed.
Mr. Beyer, what is your read of the midterm election results? I mean, what do they mean for Germany?
Good question, because they're always two perspectives, both domestically, national in the United States, and we on the other side of the big pond have to wonder ourselves, what does it mean? Exactly the question. And of course, right now on day one after the midterm elections, it's not for sure. But I mean, looking to the result, that there's the majority now by the blue party, by the Democrats, and yet an even stronger Republican Senate on the other side. Yeah. I think more important from our side of the Atlantic is the Senate side, because that's where more of the international and foreign politics are being made or being influenced. So that is important for us. And President Trump think that he is endorsed by his political decisions. Nord Stream 2, JCPOA, the Vienna nuclear agreement with Iran, many other things, burden sharing in NATO. And so we could see even tougher times on the transatlantic scale. So I don't know. I think it's not going to be easier.
When you say tougher times, how is that going to manifest itself?
So, I mean, we have. If you look back, even before the inauguration of Donald Trump, but especially 22 months ago, since his taking over of this position, we see that a lot of things, some of them I've mentioned before, came together and were very much emphasized, and also from the style of the president that he uses and he's communicating with us, with partners, is something that we have not seen before. He puts a lot of pressure on us, on his friends, strategic partners of the United States of America, and I don't think that we will see a change there to the better. So, excuse me, please. I think it's going to be more intensive, but he will be demanding more solutions in a shorter period of time, and he wants to squeeze us.
I mean, okay, and, assuming that Angela Merkel, finishes out this term, I mean, what are you advising her to do in dealing with Donald Trump moving forward?
I mean, they're on a working group level and even on a high-ranking staffers level. There's a lot of exchange and communication. For example, on the tariffs issue, economy and trade, there is a U.S.-German, not EU, but really German-U.S. working group, structured economic dialogue there. This is important for trust building, which is badly needed. And of course, they are talking about issues. How can we reduce the custom, the duties, for example. So this is going on, and this needs to be intensified. There's a lot of things going on already, and there's a relationship which we need to work on. One last remark in this regard: I think it's not a good idea to turn away from the United States and try to substitute the United States, the relations we have with them, with other countries, because nobody can substitute the relation that we have with them.
Julius, the Democrats in the House now, they are in a position to check the power of the president. Does that make it easier or more difficult in terms of working with him?
Well, you mentioned it. There's checks and balances now. Nancy Pelosi is going to take the gavel back, probably. She has subpoena power. She's going to turn up the heat on the Mueller investigation. I think there's going to be a lot of fights that Donald Trump has to battle with the House Democrats now. I think that it could go either way. And I see it a little differently in the sense that Donald Trump is going to pick battles where he can in order to distract also from the constant attacks from Democrats. So, and I think where does he have the privilege and the power to do so? Foreign policy. I mean, of course, he needs the Senate in order to wage war and so on and so forth. But first of all, he can go out and pick trade wars wherever he wants to. And whenever we're going to see things not going as well as he wants to domestically, I think we're going to see the old squeeze from the German car manufacturers that are ripping us off, China and so on and so forth.
The art of distraction.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain while we've got you here about those tax returns. The president was asked today about his tax returns and if he's going to make them public. Take a listen to what he said.
So, point blank, Democrats go after your tax returns. Will you try to block that, or will you allow them to have them?
Well, look, as I've told you, they're under audit. They have been for a long time. They're extremely complex. People wouldn't understand them. They're done by among the biggest and best law firms in the country. Same thing with the accounting firms. The accountants are a very, very large, powerful firm from the standpoint of respect. They're highly respected. Big firm.
All right, so question, are we going to see those tax returns before this first term is over? And Jeff Sessions leaving today, being told that he needs to resign, is that the beginning of a reshuffling, or is that a sign of something much more dangerous for the president?
Well, you know, I just mentioned Democrats have now subpoena power. They can look into all these things and actually ask people to come before them and testify. I think Sessions and the resignation or the firing is just the first step. The second one is going to be Rosenstein, and the third step is going to be Mueller. I think that is clear.
How about Mattis?
Well, Mattis, I think, is going to be a national security implication as well, with the questions of what Mattis knew at what point. But again, I think Trump is clearing the path to get rid of Mueller, and that's at the core of it.
Yeah. But before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask you, Mr. Beyer, the president knows that Angela Merkel has made her decision to leave office now. And in his eyes, she is a lame duck chancellor. Is that going to make Germany an easier target?
I don't think so. I mean, look, the Chancellor is the Chancellor, will be the Chancellor, and my expectation is she will serve the full term until September 21.
You believe that?
I believe that. This is my personal wish, and it would be good for stability both in Germany and in Europe. We will see what's going to happen when we have in the CDU or election of the top position, where she's not running again. But the U.S. president or anybody else, for that matter, should not be deceived. I mean, she still is the German chancellor, and she has the support of the majority of the Bundestag.
Okay, gentlemen.